Thank you, Hani, and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for attending this event. We're super excited to hear from the founders and their pitches. Just to tell you a little bit about Viaka before we get started, Hani, if you can go to the second slide, please. So Viaka is a global network. We are building a global network of high-performing founders, investors, and professionals who have very strong ties to the MENA region. Most of our member base are in North America, predominantly Europe, and of course, the MENA region. And we have a very good mix of founders, operators, and investors in the mix as well. The work of Viaka is basically centered around three main pillars: Viaka Connect, Viaka Consult, and Viaka Capital. Hani. So the first pillar, which is Viaka Connect, this is where we're focused on building the global community. Today we have over 2,200 members and very close followers who are part of the network, distributed across 35 cities globally. And this year, in order for us to really focus on building very highly curated and tailored connections, support, and value add to our members, we will be launching city chapters in New York, Chicago, Toronto, and London, and of course, many other cities will follow that as well. The second pillar, which is our consulting work, we have over 50 vetted experts who have industry experience in a variety of areas. And we work with founders on supporting them with different challenges that they're facing throughout their growth journey. And we're also focused on working with ecosystem building initiatives in the MENA region. The third pillar, which is Viaka Capital, is our work focused on facilitating access to direct and indirect finance. This event is one example of our work. We're always working to facilitate access to a selection of very high potential ventures. You'll hear from some of them today. We're doing, of course, the exclusive showcases like today's demo day. And we are working to connect investors who are part of our network with the founders who are also part of our network. And this month, we're launching our Viaka Angel Network. And we're going to start writing checks ourselves as well. So this is a very exciting development for us. So this is Viaka, basically, in a nutshell. I'm very happy. Next slide, please, Hani. I'm very happy to connect with anyone who's interested to learn more about the work that we're doing. This is my email. Please reach out to me, and I would be very happy to, tell you more about how we can support your growth journey. Thank you. Over to you, Hani.
Thanks so much, Reem. Today's demo day would not be possible without our sponsors, so I want to shout them out quickly now. You'll also hear from them interspersed throughout the pitches during the event. But Taft is a wonderful law firm focused on assisting founders on all matters from inception to exit and assisting funds from formation to actually deploying capital. We have Abe Wahbi, who's a wonderful member of our network, who works at Taft, and we'll be talking a little bit more about their work later. Supportful is a software engineering consulting company that enables tech startups to scale their teams with remote engineers based in Lebanon. And Fadi is another wonderful member who you'll hear from later. And finally, Carta. I think most people on the call are going to be familiar with the great work that Carta does. Connecting founders, investors, LPs, in general, this private market startup ecosystem through world-class software that basically powers a lot of the financial backend of how companies manage their cap tables, how private investors conduct their business. So we'll also hear from them during the event. I want to just quickly introduce the founders that we have today. We have a wonderful lineup that we're super excited about. Nadine ElAshkar is the founder of Lilo. Lilo is an AI-driven procurement platform for the hospitality industry. Abed, founder of TapFlow, which is an AI talent sourcing platform. Amir, Kabbara from Papr.AI and Shawkat as well. Shawkat, Kabbara, they'll be pitching about how they're building the future of enterprise workspace and knowledge management. And Nadia, Shalaby is a serial founder building Pakira today, revolutionizing the wholesale wood industry across its entire supply chain. Each founder is going to pitch for up to about 10 minutes, and then they're going to hear feedback and questions from our investor panel. We're really lucky to have these 4 investors. We were just talking about also the different time zones and geographies that they're all based in. So we have Omar from 10x Founders. He's based in Germany and is part of the investment team there at 10x Founders. I know they've recently also started making some investments actually in the MENA region, in addition to their portfolio in Europe. Mahmoud is based here in Boston with me. He's a principal at Glasswing, which invests globally in the future of AI and frontier technologies. Ghassan Noursi is a partner at Nuwa Capital, which is one of the leading funds based in MENA that invests globally in early stage startups. And last but not least, Jad at MENA Plus. He's based in the UK and invests in founders from what he describes as the MENA Plus diaspora. So all of the companies in Middle East and North Africa. I think that also includes Turkey, Iran, the countries that are adjacent to the region. Without further ado, I'm going to get things started. Abed is going to be the first one to pitch. So Abed, I'm going to bring you up onto the screen, pin your video, and you can feel free to start sharing. I'm going to stop, and you can share your deck and get started. Once you start, I'll start the timer.
Yeah, so I'm ready to start. Okay.
Go for it.
So hi, this is Abed. Should I start? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Hi, this is Abed. I'm building TapFlow, which is an AI recruitment agent. TapFlow understands job descriptions, finds talent, converts them. So before TapFlow, during my time in running different companies, I always believed that you need great talent to build great companies. But it always took me months to find that great talent. And one of the times I was hiring a head of operations, it took me months. I posted many jobs on LinkedIn, but always found irrelevant applicants. And I asked all of my friends, and it didn't work. So referrals didn't work as well. So I reached out to a headhunting agency, and apparently it costs tens of thousands of dollars in order to help me hire. So I thought, why not use AI to do the job? So as a validation, so I started using ChatGPT to understand job descriptions. I wrote job descriptions, and then I used it to pull out the best search terms from the job description, the best practices to hiring for that job. And then I used it to search for talent on LinkedIn, screen that talent, and analyze each profile deeply to find reasons on why that profile works. I also used it to engage candidates and turn them into applicants, because all of the talent on LinkedIn is passive. And the result was that I hired faster than ever. This is when I decided to build TapFlow. So TapFlow is an AI agent that does everything that I try to do by myself. So TapFlow today analyzes job descriptions and it pulls the best terms, the best attributes, the best requirements from them and cleans everything else. It also is able to find candidates online by doing live search online, especially on LinkedIn. And then for each profile that it finds, it does deep analysis and finds reasons why that profile works or doesn't work, and it even gives a score. And it also automates personalized engagement by writing the best selling messages to send to those candidates to their personal emails. So this is how it works. So we built multiple agents and we connected all of those agents together. So we have analyzing agents who are only responsible for understanding job descriptions. And then we have matching agents who take profiles that we find online and then it matches them with the job description and then gives score for each. And we have the outreach agent, which is responsible for engaging candidates and turning them into applicants. Is that working? Yeah, so our traction until now, so we have 650 monthly jobs posted on TapFlow by recruiters and owners of, like founders of startups and companies. We're also making $2,500 in monthly recurring revenue from those active users that we have. And the impact that we've seen on them is that they're spending 70% less time to hire. They're also spending 90% less money on hires by spending less time, less effort, and not having to pay for headhunters. And at the end, when they need to make a decision for hiring, they always have at least 2 times more great candidates in the shortlist. How did we know about that? We have a lot of online reviews that talk a lot about their experience with TapFlow. So our business model today is very simple. So we try to charge $100 per agent per month, but that's gonna be different once we have like a more advanced platform. And the market is huge. So companies are paying $300 billion yearly on recruitment services and tools. That includes the money they pay to recruiters, headhunters, and so on. So the market is very huge. And we think we're the right team to build for that market, but we have many players in the market. We have a lot of players in the market that are coming to the market in the recent years, especially after YC is investing in those companies. So we're competing with some players, but we're trying to be the best in the intelligence of the AI and in automating the steps. So most of these platforms are trying to automate the talent sourcing, but we're also trying to automate steps like interviews, assessments, and so on. And so finally, this is our team. So I built and ran many companies before. We have Nasser, who's leading the product. He's an expert headhunter. And we have Hamza, who's built many platforms before. So he's our CTO. And yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Abed. I'm going to bring the investors' videos up as well and pin them with you. And then investors, feel free to start asking questions.
Maybe I'll jump in. Well done, Abed. Thank you. Thanks for presenting and well done on the amazing reviews. I mean, people are writing glowing things about the platform. So Mabruk, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Quick question. Is this completely proactive? So you're reaching out, there's no inbound coming in from candidates?
No inbound only. So the pain point is mostly with passive candidates, because like most of the times the great candidate is not applying to jobs actively. So there are many platforms and ATSs that are analyzing inbound candidates. So we didn't see an opportunity in building something for that. So this is only for finding passive candidates who know nothing about the company or the job online, and then it reaches out to them and tells them about the company and convinces them to apply.
Okay, and you mentioned the type of clients. So is this who's the ICP, right? Because I don't know if this is a recruiting agency that is looking, or if this is a startup, or if this is like an established company, I have يعني from personal experience a bit of reservations of only going cold, because people tend to be tied up, right? And in contracts, and so sometimes inbound can be useful. It doesn't mean that it's the only way, but I'd imagine like if it's being used by recruiters, they'd have a database of candidates rather than going out purely on LinkedIn. That they probably have a bench of I don't know where they save them. But can you tell me more about like the ICP, who's using it so far, and how do you see that?
Yeah, so the ICP is a small, so currently we're talking early stage still until we automate, like we do more automation, more channels and so on. So currently, I'd say 80% of our users are smaller recruitment agencies and freelance recruiters and headhunters who have a lot of jobs to fill per month for their clients, and they have a small team, so they can't handle all of the work. So TapFlow is helping them automate and scale their agency, like automate most of that work and scale their agency without having to hire more recruiters. So that's the ICP for today. But we believe that in a matter of a few months, a year or two, it's going to be more useful for corporate recruitment teams and let's say founders who are trying to recruit without having a recruiter in their team.
Cool. Thank you. I'll leave for the others to ask. And by the way, I completely believe like keyword matching is dead or dying. Like it's about semantics.
It's dead, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, speaking of that, I have a few questions on this. But first of all, like Mabruk, I think you've done something that people seem to really love. It's just a great thing. I was curious about the technical aspect, and I have two questions in particular. One, how do you find talent? Because I would assume you maybe are trying to scrape LinkedIn, where LinkedIn is trying to go against like Apollo and many of the tools built on top of it. And then the other side is the matching, because you can do maybe some naive rag to try to do the matching, but I've seen in many cases it doesn't actually succeed. So if you can speak a little bit about how do you do the outsourcing, finding talent, and how do you do the actual matching, I would be quite curious.
Yeah. So I thought of putting Hamza, my CTO, on the spot, but I'm going to do it because I didn't tell him before. So in terms of so finding talent, that's also a competitive edge. So most of the competitors in this in this market are buying databases from suppliers, from data suppliers. So there are ways to scrape profiles, and so there are multiple ways. Some are scalable, some are not, some are legal, some are not, and so on. We built our own scraper, but we use multiple third-party tools in order to make it happen because of the privacy restrictions. But our aim is to have a fully like automated in-house scraper, because eventually we want to sell that data to the other players in the market. So there are so many privacy restrictions, but as long as LinkedIn wants their data to be public and appear on search engines, they always it's gonna always be legal to scrape, and they can't close the data. So that's how scrapers work. That's in terms of like to answer the scraping question. So they always try to put restrictions, but there are always ways to break that. For matching, yeah, it doesn't work to just like give AI a LinkedIn profile and ask it if that profile is a great fit or not. We experimented with so many ways, but we ended up with like the best way possible was that to break profiles into sentences and then compare sentences in the profile to the attribute that we pulled from the job description as a requirement. So we compare the similarity between those sentences, and we look at each attribute as a standalone metric to score. That gave us the best result possible, but we have plans to do even more accurate and more better things. So we can do a lot. Like it's not going to only be similarity; it's going to also understand that, for example, a leadership doesn't only be like if someone said I built a team of 10 people, then that person has the leadership skill. So that's what we're able to do now, but it's going to be like, it's going to have more depth with time.
I see. Maybe if it helps, there are two tools you might want to try out. One is called CircleMind. It's from one of the latest YC batches, and the other one is Writer. I think they started opening up their graph rag, which seems to help it with these like complicated retrieval problems. Just FYI, in case it's relevant.
Hamza, take notes. Okay, thank you. So Writer and
Circle, what was it? Circle
I will
Mind.
just write it in the chat
yeah,
again, just in case it's helpful,
yeah,
but I want to give time to the other people to ask questions.
Cool. Hani, do you have time for one or two questions?
Yeah, we still have some time. Go for it.
Okay, awesome. Congrats, man, on what you're building, you and your team. I'll jump straight to my question. First, I'll ask them both together, and then you can answer them as you please. You've mentioned that you already have some recurring revenue, which is great. Can you tell me a little bit about how you acquired those customers and how you envision acquisition moving forward, right? Is it specialization? Is it referral? All of that. That's number one. But then I'd love to know a little bit more about you. You said 3 businesses that you've already built. What industry? What sectors? Why a fourth? Why go through the insanity of building another business?
Yeah. Okay. So the first question was about the acquisition. So our first, let's say, round of acquisition was that we sold beta licenses to recruiters using a platform called AppSumo. It might be familiar to some people here. So we sold lifetime deals to recruiters just to get them to try it out and tell us if they like it, if it works, if it doesn't, and so on. So before that, we weren't able to get any customer. So from that campaign we launched on AppSumo, we understood that the early customers are going to be recruitment agencies. So after that, we started doing online content for targeting agencies. So we have some blogs running on TapFlow now. Examples are 5 best tools for tech recruiting, 5 tools that replace LinkedIn, 5 LinkedIn cheaper alternatives. So we tried so many things. So we guess that most of our customers came from that. We still don't have an automated way to acquire customers. So I'm going to be honest. So we don't have that growth hack yet in terms of sales and marketing, but content has been working the best for us until now. And about me personally, so I was the first employee at a startup in Jordan, and then we grew to, I think, a team of 6, 7, $10,000 MRR, and then I left and I joined as a CEO for an ice cream shop in Jordan, which is now an international brand. So we opened, during my time, we opened in Saudi, and we're opening in the US. And we expanded the revenue and everything, 10x revenue and so on. So we have multiple branches now. I also started a company that closed down a few months ago. It was a logistics company in Jordan. So we tried to do last mile delivery, but the e-commerce market in Jordan wasn't the best market for that. And the last company is TapFlow, which I've been working on for the past 2 years until now. Yeah.
Clear. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
We probably have time for one more question, probably 3 to 4 minutes left. So if anyone wants to take it, feel free.
I'd like to ask a question, Hani. Abed, how do you overcome, the issue of potential employees not providing extensive descriptions or contents about themselves on LinkedIn, right? So, and how do you overcome this and reach out to these people? So, because there's a learning curve there as well. So how do you address this?
Yeah, very good question. So the first thing I want to say is that it's been working very well for headhunting agencies with the currently provided information on LinkedIn profiles. So people don't write a lot of info, but the info that exists has been enough, because the proof for that is that agencies are working, they're making a lot of money, and if you go to an agency or a recruiter, they'll be able to hire. So it's a data game. The more information, the more data and information you have, the better the results will be. So I believe that because we're building technology for this, we're going to be able to use more information than a human being can use. So for example, AI can look very fast at so many data points. Like for example, if you want someone that studied abroad, it can look at the high school location and the university location. If they are different, it can say that this person studied abroad, for example. If someone had a very fast career growth, AI can analyze that and make decisions based on that. While if you compare it to a human being, you have the same data, but a human can't use that data much. So the first thing that we believe in is that we have enough data as human beings. And then if we have AI, we're going to be able to analyze and use even more data than that with the currently existing data. But looking at the future, with more AI agents, with more AI tools and so on, we believe that people are going to normally just use LinkedIn more, write more data on their profiles. And if that didn't happen, we're gonna we're gonna pull data from other sources. So for example, Reem, we can find for example, if your Instagram was public, if you write posts on LinkedIn, if you have an account on Stack Overflow, whatever accounts you have online, we can pull all of that data and make use of it.
And when you pull, let's say 100 candidates, do you do prioritization and ranking, or so this is also another capability?
Yeah, we have very accurate scoring for each profile based on how much or how many attributes they matched, and for each attribute, how strong was it, and based on weights as well. So yeah, we do ranking to make them focus on the best candidates.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Abed. Looking forward to seeing TapFlow continue to grow. And thank you for pitching. I am going to now bring up Peji from Carta to just talk really quick about their solution and their work. So Peji, I'm going to have your video pinned.
Awesome. Thank you, Hani, and thank you, Reem, for inviting us. Morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. My name is Peji. I'm from Carta. Can I share my screen, Hani? Oh, awesome. Look at that.
Got you up there.
Beautiful. I'm just going to share a little bit about Carta, who we are, and how we can help startups. So we're an American Silicon Valley-based company, been around for 12 years. What's exciting is that we've expanded our presence in the Middle East, and we've just opened up an office in Abu Dhabi in Hub 71. So I personally cover the MENA region. I'm based in Dubai, speak to founders every single day. And there's 4 main areas we can support with. The first one is around creating a professional investor-ready cap table. So if you're fundraising, which I assume most of the startups in the room are either doing right now or are planning to be doing, it's going to be very important for investors to have a clean and professional cap table. Secondly, we can support you with ESOPs. So if you haven't thought about ESOPs, it's a very strategic tool in order to attract and retain talent. So our platform can help you structure your ESOP and issue equity to your employees, whether they're options, RSAs, RSUs. The third area we can support with is around valuations. So we can give an independent valuation of your business and defend that in front of either auditors or investors as well, if you want an independent opinion. Lastly, you can actually close your round within Carta. What does that mean? Everything from a data room to investor communications to doing advanced scenario planning and modeling. If you want to model out your dilution, you can do all of that within Carta instead of wrestling with Excel documents. And finally, you can actually build out your investor packet inside the Carta platform and send it to your investors for signature, whether it's a safe note or it's a priced round. You can build your pro forma within the platform. And we work with all the major law firms. I won't name them, but all of the ones who are working around the clock closing deals, and they can be invited into the platform and close the deal. So that's us in a nutshell. Feel free to connect on LinkedIn, or I'm sure Annie will share my details. Happy to spend one-on-one time with you guys to take you through the platform. And good luck with your fundraise. And again, thank you for having us.
Thanks so much, Paige. Thank you, Carta.
Hi, Hanya. This is Nadia. I have a question. May I ask Paige a question?
Yeah,
Please.
sure.
Hi, Paige. Thanks so much for presenting. I was just curious, when you said valuation support, do you mean 409A valuations?
Exactly. So if it's a US company, we do 409As. And then in this region, we support IFRS 13 as well. So we support both types.
And if how much approximately the 409A valuations cost?
It's very price competitive compared to the big four. It's around a couple $1,000s. So we do 80% of the 409As globally.
Wow, great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
No worries. And the best thing is it takes about 3 to 5 business days. There's a team of about 100 people just working on valuations for early stage startups. So it's very popular in the States. Obviously, it's compulsory to do. So as soon as you do your price round in our region, it's not, but still recommended. So it's a core part of our business. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cool. Thanks so much. And Nadia, I'm gonna actually bring you up to the screen now. You're gonna pitch, and I will also let you share your screen.
Okay. So you guys can see the full screen, yes?
Yep.
Okay, great. Yes, so thank you so much for having me, Hani and Nadine and Reem, and thank you everybody for joining. So my name is Nadia Shalaby. You were kind of asking Abed who you are, so this is who I am. I'm probably a little older than most of the people on the call today. And yeah, I've worked across, non-startup, non-profits and big companies and startups, as well as a couple of my own, and very old AI background before the hype, with all kinds of grants and awards from various brands that you would recognize, like NASA, DARPA, and NSF, always in technology. So, and my previous startup, Arctic Sand, was a semiconductor spinoff from MIT. I care very much about impact, so it was revolutionizing power conversion and reducing dramatically the energy that we spend, which ends up in data centers and in all our devices. It was acquired by Murata Electronics back in 2017. And then I also have a very deep background in the largest supply chain in the world, which is U.S. Transportation Command, which commands everything that the U.S. military does, from medicine to ammunition to transportation, whatever, and any deployment overseas. Very little known, but like enormous supply chain, really the biggest one in the world. Through my work at BBN Raytheon, which when I was there in the 2000s. Okay. So I'm here today to talk. So that's just enough about me. I'm here to talk about Pakira, and maybe not as forefront in our mind that 70% of all wood comes from illegal logging, causing massive deforestation, 1 in 7 people are hungry, despite the fact that a third of all food produced worldwide is wasted, ending up in landfills, further exacerbating our environmental down spiral. During the pandemic, this number became 2/3 of all wood, even though we had shortages in supermarkets and people were queuing up. But everything harvested was being thrown into landfills. And so we're talking about the culprit of all these magna ills are these physical commodities. It's our livelihood, what we eat, what we wear, what we live in, like wheat and cotton and iron. They comprise a quarter of all trade worldwide, $20 trillion. And yet today, the trading of these commodities across their entire B2B supply chain is still done primarily over the phone and some text and email. So here you are automating, and doing things through AI, and people are cold calling and trying to build relationships, travel, close deals, and so on. So we're talking about truckloads, train cars, and vessels that are traded over the phone. Why? It's a very fragmented, complex market. The size of the deals are large because it's all wholesale, very low margins and large transportation costs. So there's a lot of risk. If something falls through, small companies can go bankrupt, family-owned companies, and therefore they prefer to stick to the relationship-based deals. So if we go about 40, now almost 45 years ago, in the 80s, the finance industry was in a very similar situation. And today, where is the finance industry? You just pull up your phone, or professionally, you have a Bloomberg terminal, which became the finance icon. It is still a private company. It completely revolutionized how we do trading. And it's $25,000 per year per seat to have an account on the Bloomberg terminal, $10 billion revenue. This is a complete cash cow for the company. So it was absolutely brilliant.
Nadia, sorry, I think you stopped sharing. Just a heads up, I wasn't sure if that was on purpose.
No.
No, she's still sharing, honey. I can see the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see
That's
the
my
screen.
fault then. For some reason, I can't see it. Sorry to
Can,
interrupt.
can everyone else see the screen?
Yes, you're good, Nadia.
Is
Continue.
it I just want to make sure, is Reem privileged, or is it just Hanny?
I
can
think
see
it's
it.
just me. Sorry, so sorry to interrupt. Continue.
No worries. All right. So we're building Pakira, which is kind of like a Pakira terminal, like a Bloomberg terminal, starting with the wood industry. The wood industry, from all the physical commodities we talked about, is our beachhead market, right? It's about 300 billion in North America, including Canada, our quote unquote 51st state. You guys have your audio turned off, but I thought that would be funny in today's environment because it's all America first. And about 1 million buyers and sellers worldwide, with almost $1 trillion industry. So it's a gigantic untapped vertical ripe for digitization. The supply chain of wood is pretty complex, right? You have to cover all the way from the forest landowner to the logger, the mill, the manufacturer, distributor, all the way to the retail or lumberyard or builder. And you think, okay, well, it's nice and linear. Nothing can be further from the truth. It's a pretty complex supply chain. And anytime somebody gets stuck reaching for a supplier or a customer, they call a trader, which take commission. And of course, the products that they trade between each one of those junctures is different. And this is not a classic marketplace, right? There's all kinds of identity, privacy, trust barriers. Also note that unlike Amazon or any traditional marketplace, you have the businesses on one side and the customers on the others. There's no such thing. Everybody's a business. Everybody buys and sells. Include it, and then add to that is the identity, privacy, and trust barriers. So it's pretty complex. And this is exactly what we need to overcome. That's why to date, there is no platform that addresses this, and everything's still done over the phone. So we need to get the status quo to our desired state, like we have in other industries. And it's actually a tall order. Wood specifically is very globally traded. There's a lot of dynamics of how things move, and it's extremely difficult to track the origin. So our vision, think of like a Pakira terminal, like the Bloomberg terminal, that you'd be able to search for any of the, first of all, we have a forum that's live and people use today. You can search for the criteria, just like Abed was saying, you can search for talent. Well, here you can search for whatever products you're looking for to buy or to sell in a particular geography. The ontology is extremely complex with things like the wood species and the dimensions and all kinds of other attributes and so on. You would be able to trade, you would be able to track. So think of, how would you track that it is not illegally locked? A lot of the back office work that supports the trading. And then you would get to the golden goose, right? Which is real-time data, doesn't exist today. And AI agents that would do the trading for you. So who are we targeting, actually? Actually, let me just... So think of the product as two streams of revenue. One stream coming from the platform, which would be a SaaS subscription from the wood sector, but that's not really what we're relying on. What we really are looking for is to get to historic, real-time, and AI data that we can then sell to financial industry, insurance, mortgage, construction, I mean, you name it. And you might which is a $2 trillion TAM, right? And you may think, well, who would be interested in just the wood data? So we did a little analysis here, again, back of the envelope, from just the public markets. There are a total of $2 trillion in stocks and $1 trillion in bonds and 5.6 billion in commodity future companies that would kill for that data. And they would be paying, depending on the quality and size of the data sets, between $50,000 to $500,000, especially in the beginning, especially if they get priority and advance access before we make it available to the rest. So, yeah, so our status today is this is not how many. We have about 1,000 live companies, actually more than 1,000, maybe 1,100 live businesses on the platform who are using it. But our database there, which again is live and constantly updated, is about 155,000 companies worldwide. 70 to 80% are in North America. 200,000 locations, 300,000 products and services. This is just a screenshot from our website. And 160,000 contacts. A whole bunch of testimonials from our customers. And I mean, I'm showing them to you, so they must be all good. And a few more testimonials. Just couldn't really fit them on one slide. And our team, we have a pretty strong team of myself. We're currently in the kind of a transition and discussions with a couple of technologists, because I need to take off my CTO hat. It's really not sustainable. So we're in discussions for that, but otherwise we have a pretty well-rounded team, but we do need to expand and hire. So we've been pretty much bootstrapped, except for the 1 million safe today. There's a number of angels. That this was just our angel round in 23. But some of the notable investors are Steve Getsev, who is a founder in the wood industry itself. So he came from the wood industry. So this is a huge validation for us that he's super interested in Pakira and using it for his company. You may know Ray Stata as the #1 philanthropist for MIT, and he's the founder and chairman of Analog Devices. I think it's a $150 billion company today. This was his first investment in a non-hardware company. He was also a former investor in my previous company, Arctic Sand. Paul Trevithick is a tech founder and investor. He's founded and sold 7 companies, and Douglas Krupp is also a founder of 2 publicly traded companies and philanthropist. So we're at the point where we have de-risked the technology, the traction, because we know that people just join by word of mouth, and the capital. We know that we have unique data, which is defensible. It's ingrained in everyday workflow and the integration. So basically, we need to raise to invest in our CAC, which is why we need the capital raise. And then after we do that, then we want to drive the CAC to 0 with network effects and again, AI agents and so on. So, and one of the important pieces is, since we're doing everything by word of mouth and organically, we need to transition from this bottom up of companies joining, which is how we got to 1,000 companies, to doing top down partnerships with associations who know us, but we haven't really dealt with them and done any transactions, and partnerships with large companies that could just come on board and transition their operations to Pakira. So we will be raising $10 million in 2025 for 18 months, and the use of funds are to conquer these milestones. We need to integrate digital freight, which we won't be building. There's multiple digital freight companies that are operating well. So we just need to use their APIs and partner. Load building, that's a technical aspect within any wholesale physical commodities industry. Close to industry partnerships, and get to 10x the companies that we have today, back office workflow, and so on. After that, we'd raise 15 million, and that's all we would ever need to scale the company. We're looking at 100 million ARR in 5 years, and this is just for wood. But the secret that I'm revealing is that all the physical commodities have the same underlying characteristics. And once the abstraction level, which we have built, the ontology, is built and operating and proven, then you can literally easily transition to other sectors. And then that just becomes a revenue generating magic. There is a veneer that you have to redo every time, which we know how to do quickly. And we have machine learning classifiers and all kinds of stuff that can map to our ontology. But all the underlying technology and work of from bringing in the data sets or building them from scratch to accessing, to categorizing the products, to the relationships and so on, all of that is really the same. And then finally, why we all are very excited about Pakira is the impact that it would bring at scale in carbon capture, in economic impact, and sustainability, right? Reducing all that illegal stuff. Okay, so I'm happy to take questions. I know that was a lot. It's a very complex space.
Thanks so much, Nadia. I'll bring the investors up right now.
How are we doing on time? I didn't track myself, sorry.
We're good. A little bit over, but it was compelling. It was interesting. So don't worry about it.
It seems like no questions.
No one's gonna go.
Can we ask questions? I
I'll
was
go
just
first
waiting
again.
for the cue.
Go for it.
Yeah,
So,
thanks a lot for the pitch, Nadia. The thing I'm trying to understand is the following. So you showed us how the ecosystem of wood trading look like. There are multiple stakeholders, and they are all very relationship based. And the question I'm asking myself is, I would assume these people are not the most tech savvy people out there. They really like their own relationship based way of dealing with things. So how do you plan to break into that? And from this like chain, is there like a specific group which you think is your ICP? These are the people with the biggest pain who would start adopting the tool and force the others to be onboarded? Or how does your sales motion look like?
Yeah, no, these are great questions. So to answer your question number one, absolutely, you hit the nail on the head. One of the reasons that it is still not, I mean, other than all the risks that I mentioned, but it's an old industry, very family based. Even the large companies, unless they're public, they still have most of the employees have grown up in that industry, whether it is agriculture or wood or whatever, what have you, and so their kids go into the industry, right? And so it is very relationship based. And on the older side, they tend to be risk averse and technology averse. Now, with the new generation coming on board, and in fact, cell phones doing things via text was a huge innovation over the last, I kid you not, 6 to 7 years. They did not use text before. They transitioned from calls to emails and then followed up by calls. So text was like, oh, you can now send like offers by text. So how we tap into that? Well, so we go to a trade show and people just sign up, and especially the young people, it's like, oh my God, what is this? This is a technology thing. Oh, that would be amazing. And then they try to pull in their dad or so this is kind of the bottom up way that we've been doing it. And we haven't really been doing sales. We've been focused on figuring it out, building the ontology for the industry that would then transfer to others, and building all the underlying capabilities, not necessarily little features, but the underlying capabilities to make it all work the way so basically mimic. So we're talking about atoms, right? And we are all familiar with bits. So how do we get our bits to mimic the atoms, which is pretty complex. So that's answer to question number one. Question number two, this is a great question. What exactly part of the supply chain are we focusing on? So, and the short answer is the whole thing. Why? Because imagine, I mean, we are doing it majority. If you draw how many loggers we have versus mills, manufacturers, distributors, you will probably see that distributors and manufacturers are kind of, if you draw a normal curve, then they would be in the middle here. And then a little bit less mills, and the least would be the forest landowners and the retail side, because they are the terminal ends of the supply chain. So there's less of forest landowners in general. But the reason we are not excluding anyone from the get-go is because imagine you're a mill and we persuade you to use Pakira so that you can sell your products. And so if we just say we're going to do it, we're going to focus on mills and manufacturers. If you sell to manufacturers, we're telling them to use Pakira. But if you're selling to distributors, if we don't include them, then you have to go back and do what you were doing already. So then instead of helping them, we're just burdening them with something extra. So they need to be able to do the whole thing, right? So that's the rationale. Does that make sense, Omar?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Nadia, good to see you again.
Hello.
Quick question on the sort of next chapter of go-to-market. So you mentioned kind of having some early relationships established with industry groups and others. Can you talk a little bit more about how you think the best way to crack in with them is after you get that next round of funding?
Yeah, so there are I've been invited multiple times. We just weren't in that realm and in that space. This is a great question. It is an extremely relationship-based industry, as are all the other verticals. And so you just have to connect and go, like, go to the trade shows, be invited to dinners, which I have been, and hang out and maybe go play golf, which I don't play, but whatever, we can do best ball. And then discuss a partnership on a company level versus what we have been doing, which is a bottom up, like, oh, a trader comes by and he thinks that this is the greatest thing, so he kind of signs on and tries to find things and do the search without necessarily going through the ranks in the company. But I can't, like, so this would be called founder-based sales, but we need a lot more than I can do by myself. And therefore, that's why we need to hire people. So then in those various trade associations, they need people to serve on boards and do things. So we would do that as well. And then we've discussed with some of the key people in the industry about forming a Pakira industry advisory council. So basically saying, hey, we're not building this for ourselves. We're building this for you. In fact, all the functionality that we have built has been in very close collaboration with people in the industry. We would build something, and how do you do this? Oh, I have this problem, but this wouldn't work. Or I routinely send my truck somewhere, and then they just can't unload them because something's wrong. The load is bad, or they can't, the ramp is the wrong height. I mean, stupid things you won't believe. And then what they have to do is, not only do they lose that entire truckload, they have to pay money to bring it back, because they can't just like dump it in the middle of, in the middle of the road. And so how do you prevent that from happening? There's all these things, and we would not have known about it had we not been in very close contact. And so the Pakira Industry Council would be an extremely impactful thing for the entire industry, because we would say, we're building this for you, and we want your input in how to proceed, and what functions to make available, what things. We have a whole bunch of stuff that is private, only released when you make the deal, which again came with guidance from the customers. So through that Pakira Industry Council, that's another way of connecting on that owner president level, right? They don't tend to have CEOs. So that is the biggest kind of transition. We will continue to do the bottom up, but once we have, it's enough to have on this supply chain. It's enough to have, I don't know, like 10 companies on each one that are a little bit larger, or medium to large size, that would come onto Pakira. And then, because they have so many relationships themselves, that would instigate their customers and their suppliers, smaller ones, to do the same, and then the network effects take off. So that is what we're counting on, but we have to start top down in order to generate that. Ali, does that make sense? Okay.
Thank you.
I have a question, Nadia. First, blown away by your background and everything, and your ambition and what you're putting together here. But when I look at this, I start thinking about like the frequency of purchase, right? Like, the further to the like finished product, the more people, I guess, are buying and selling finished product. And the earlier, it's not like the agricultural products. It kind of like mirrors the agricultural, but it's even longer timelines. How do you keep people, on the Bloomberg terminal, people are chatting, people are checking stock prices. How do you keep engagement on a platform where frequency of use is going to be very varied between, I guess, all of these different players? That's the first one. And then the second one is, you mentioned, I guess that falls into the Pakira data. But and then looking at the Pakira platform, was it the second one that you had?
Mhm.
Does that go into more like orchestrating of third-party services and embedded finance and all of the logistics and the settlement, or is it more on the like actual settlement of the trades, like you trade there and the transactions happen there? Can you just like explain?
Yeah, all great questions because I didn't want to go and through the platforms. We just wouldn't have time. We'd have to be here until tomorrow, or the night or whatever your time zone is. But yeah, absolutely. So wait, did I just lose it? Yeah, so the Pakira platform is all encompassing in term the vision is to offer everything a trader may need from soup to nuts. So when a trader and let me see if I have something that shows what they actually need. Um, yeah. So first, a trader wakes up in the morning and uh, tries to figure out where's the market, what's going on, and there is no Bloomberg terminal for them to check like prices, right? I mean, there are some like stale services that send 3 times a week some newsletter with some printed prices. I mean, it's a little bit ridiculous, but what they do is they call um, a few contacts and triangulate, the average price for this product, this product, this product. I mean, this is how things were done in the 1980s. So the first thing they do is they browse whatever they can find to figure out where the market is today. So we have a forum to do that, where we post the news and customers themselves post news and so on. Then they try to connect with people and chat. We have that as well, embedded into the Pakira platform, just like the Bloomberg chat that you were talking about. Then they start to look for prospects. So this is a CRM, and the big companies all offer CRMs to their traders. Nobody uses that. They are all overserved and too complex. So I have a very, very simple and lightweight CRM prospecting that you can just click, use, who you're going to talk to for what product, whatever. And then you can send an offer or a request, right? It works both ways, to that prospect list that you formed, and nobody knows that they're on that prospect list, right? They just see that themselves as as if they got it privately, which they did. Then you can do the trade gets confirmed. You can negotiate, confirm, and then there's a few other steps. Once it ships, then you can track it, and we have a way, because every time there's a change in the status of the product, of the trade, or of the transaction rather, then you can just signify it on the platform by just a click, and then the other party will see it without any communication. Hey, where's my load? What's happened? I'm just like, okay, they will see where it is in the process. This is the load building function, right? And then this is another thing that you guys also asked. We haven't done this yet, but we would need to integrate with their internal ERPs rather than telling them we're going to do the ERP for you, which we're doing with prospecting CRM. That was easy. The ERP is more involved, but we would have to do that. There are about 4 or 5.
Nadia, sorry to interrupt. We need to get ready to move on to the next one. So I just want to keep you conscious of time.
All right. So the bottom line is we would cover the entire workflow for this part that you were asking. Where is it? Yeah, here. We would cover the entire workflow on the platform. It's not all there yet, but we're maybe like 2/3 of the way there. So that would be the platform offering. And then the data is internal. Of course, it's all depersonalized, so we can't reveal anyone's identity, or you can't track anything. And that would be the offering to the financial industry. Okay, Jad, I hope I answered your question.
You guys should definitely also follow up and just continue the chat one-on-one. Nadia, thank you so much. Really learned a lot from the presentation about a space that we don't often talk about. So thank you. Abe, I'm going to bring you up quickly to talk about Taft, and let me just share my screen as well. Floor is yours, Abe.
Hey everyone. Really excited to be here, and it's awesome to kind of hear what I've heard so far. I love seeing the innovation and everything. I'll keep this brief because I don't want to take away from the good stuff. But my name's Abe. I've been a strong supporter of Viaka and Hani for a while now. I'm a partner at Taft. Taft is a large Midwest-based law firm that's a full service. My specific focus is working with venture funds and emerging growth stage companies. As Hani kind of highlighted at the beginning of the show, the practice broadly ranges from anywhere from inception to exit. Personally, it's pretty split, 50% investor side, 50% company side, which is pretty nice because it allows a more practical approach to representation. And yeah, my bread and butter is financings. So hopefully, hearing you guys and seeing all the investment opportunities, it's all really exciting to me because that's what I live and breathe in every day. So if I'm always happy to support the network. So if anybody has any questions or just want to bounce some ideas around, I'm always happy to make myself available.
Abe, thanks so much, and thanks for all your support for Viaka. Nadine, you're up next. I'm gonna pin your video, and feel free to start sharing your screen.
Thank you. Can you see the screen?
It's loading. I can't see it yet, but there we go. Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm Nadine. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of Lilo. And what Lilo is, it's an autonomous procurement and spend workflow automation tool for commercial real estate businesses. That's a mouthful. What that means is basically we help any business that has 4 walls and a floor manage their spend in an automated way. How did I get involved in that? I used to be a business analyst at McKinsey. I did a lot of procurement work because I love numbers. And I realized that every project we were telling our clients the same thing. You either need to buy less of the same thing, you need to buy something cheaper, or you need to buy something, or you need to buy the same thing for cheaper. And after I graduated from Stanford, I went to help my parents run their restaurant and hotel in New Jersey. And I realized that the same applies to them, but they have no tools to do so. Lilo, we got to 150 million of contracted ARR in 6 months since we launched. But what really excites me is that we have had 100% retention. So when someone comes, they stick around because we really make their lives much easier. And we're already working with some of the large brands like Courtyard, like Springfield, and Holiday Inn Express. Now, Nadia already spoke about procurement in a very different industry, but procurement is still largely done with pen and paper, maybe Excel, but basically copying their pen and paper processes. And it's a long process, right? You need to see what you need to buy, you need to get quotation, you need to compare prices. And each of these processes has been digitized to a certain extent. At worst, they use an Excel, but where a lot of the loss happens is in the communication between them. So there's usually a platform that does this, a platform that does that, but there's still a lot of friction, and money and time is lost in between. And this is where we come in, because we build an AI model that understands and speaks and standardizes the data across the processes. So then we're able to automate on top of everything that they have, something that you typically would need a human to do. Now, this also is a problem that maybe some of you or a lot of you have not been in contact with, but the cost of doing things manually for these businesses is huge. So if we typically sell to management groups, so someone who operates, 20, 30, 50, 100 venues, they would be spending, if there are 20, this is a real example, if it's a 20 venue group, up to $600,000 a year on pure automatable tasks, writing down the budget code of stuff they bought with pen and paper or issuing checks. This customer spent over $80,000 on just sending out their checks. They run out of stock a lot of the time, and they don't have the time to sit and compare their products. So they forego a lot of savings. So what we do, we say that we save them time, we save them money, and eliminate errors. How do we actually do that? By automating the whole process for them. From forecasting, we take inputs from their property management system, their occupancy data, some weather, if there are events, and we're able to tell them this is what you would need to buy. Once we have that ready, we compare if one vendor calls something beautiful apple and another calls it amazing apple, we compare apples to apples for them. And we tell them this is exactly the same thing. This is the most optimal cart for you. Then we do three-way matching. I don't know if many of you are aware of that, but typically, someone issues a purchase order, someone receives it, checks that they received, and someone pays. We found out that around 2% of the cash flow from these businesses is duplicate payments. But since we automate this with OCR and AI, we're able to map it on the spot. You don't need a human to sit and compare them, accordingly eliminating error. And this goes across the process. I'll go quickly through this, but something like, maybe this is too technical, but mapping their budget codes, we automate that with AI, consolidating all their payments. They don't need to issue all their checks. We just do all the payments for them. And we're in the process now of issuing virtual cards for them as well, so we can make money on the interchange fee. And then the coolest feature for them is that with NLP lingo, they can write, don't buy blah, blah, blah from Amazon, or don't buy whatever it is exactly that they want. And because we indexed their supplier base and their products, we're able actually to stop their employees from buying things they don't want them to buy with natural language. An example of that, we had an owner who has 10 hotels, and he kept telling his team, general managers, don't buy bleach. They weren't listening to him. Like, I have a recording of him saying, but bleach kept showing up on every invoice. Why are they buying bleach? Because their bonus is based on the OPEX spend. And sheets, like bed sheets, are CapEx spend. So they don't care. They just bleach it. It makes their life easier. But net, it costs him more. And there was no way for him to stop it. He's not going to sit and approve every single order. But with that feature, we're able to stop them just by him writing, I don't want them buying bleach. Now, why now? I think a lot of founders skip over this. I think it makes founders' lives much easier when there are tailwinds. So there was COVID before, and now there's Trump with all the tariffs that affects supply chain a lot. It's really top of mind for many businesses. With all the LLM advancements, I don't need to talk much about this, but that enables us to automate a lot of complex tasks. And finally, commercial real estate, so that's like hotels or gyms or whatever, is an industry that's being consolidated. It's one of those that is on PE's radar. So when we're selling to one, we're actually selling to 40 or 50 or 60 at the same time. And this is what I'm talking about. Typically, we sell to what's called the management group, because you have the asset owner, and then you have the asset operator, and you have the brand. We wouldn't be selling to a Marriott. We would be selling to the person who has the license to operate the property. So they're the ones who own the P&L, and they're the ones who can make the decision. There are 4 million commercial real estate businesses in the world. We're mostly targeting or only targeting the US market at the moment. We have a $10,000 RPU at the moment. That gives us a $40 billion TAM. And how we make money, I love that we are touching the transaction, because that allows you to monetize where you add value, and you add value in many ways. So we'll say it's like a burger. So the meat, which is where we get most of our revenue now, is the SaaS fee that we charge the management groups. And then the bun is we monetize from the suppliers. And then in the future, we want to issue those virtual cards, like I mentioned, so we can make money from the financing. This is the founding team. As I mentioned, I have background in procurement from McKinsey. And Javi, my co-founder, and I, we met at Stanford when we were getting our MBAs. He had just exited his company to MindBody. So he was very aware of that problem more from the gyms side. And then we have Enrique and Max. Enrique leads our data and AI, and Max is a VP of engineering.
Thanks so much, Nadine. Investors, I'll bring you guys up, but feel free to start shouting your questions out.
Hey, Nadine, great early traction so far. One question I have is around what level of integration you need on the supplier side of things and how you get the right catalogs or whatever that your customers need to have, a more seamless buying experience. What do you need, if anything, from the supplier network?
Yeah. So we do integrate with their suppliers directly. Many of them have existing API integrations that you can plug into, but also this industry, like many, have GPOs, group purchase organizations, and we have partnership with those, so that enables us to onboard the suppliers in bulk. But then every time we onboard a hotel, our first hotel took us 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks to onboard. We just onboarded a hotel in 2 hours because we already had most of their suppliers on board. So it's part of the network effects.
Awesome, thanks. And I'll jump in here, Nadine. Congrats on what you're building. I spent a little bit of time in hotel procurement, actually, so I see exactly where you're coming from. This was maybe 10 years ago. And it feels like not much has changed, actually. So that's kind of validates what you're doing. My question, I guess, and I think it might be on the simpler side for you, is I really want to understand how do you make sure that your product stays sticky and people just don't reach out directly to the suppliers themselves? It's a reason that why our fund actually does kind of stays away from similar business models, at least in the region here. So I want to see how you're thinking about it. I definitely see the value add, but I also want to see where you think, how you can make sure that it stays sticky for the next 5 to 10 years, right? And as you build your business.
Sure. They have no benefit whatsoever going to their own existing suppliers directly, because it's the same price for them. So we get their catalog with their prices. So for them, they're seeing all their suppliers in one place and they're getting all this workflow automation. The management layer loves it because they get this visibility. The operators love it because they're saving time, because we automate this GL coding, the payment, and so on. And for the suppliers, they're not going to come and say, hey, come off of Lilo and I'm going to give you a better deal, because if they already have a deal with them, we don't charge more. It's exactly the same price. The only time we make money from suppliers is if they were not selling to the hotel directly. And if you're managing 100% of your spend there, if one of them tells you come offline and I'll get you a better price, most likely they'll say no because of the headache of it.
Okay. I see that. And do you think that's going to be strong enough to kind of last as a differentiator for the business? Or how do you envision the business evolving over the next 2 to 3 years, let's say?
We own the procurement end to end, so it's from sourcing. So if they're going to buy, I don't know, this glass, Today they would go, okay, let me check with supplier A, with supplier B, with supplier C. We bring all of them in one place. So they're glass, they see their own supplier catalog in one place. If your question is how do I see the business, is owning the end-to-end transaction from sourcing all the way to payment. And again, that makes it very sticky. And the more employees or actors you touch in the organization, the stickier you become. And we're already building relationship with management, with the finance team, like the AP team, and the operators. Once you're there, there's really this land and expand motion.
Awesome. I like that. Yeah, I like that. Then you're really adding value across the value chain, right? And then across every step. And that's really it. Okay, nice. Thank you. Thanks. And congrats on all you're building. Yeah.
Thank you.
Congrats, Nadine. Honestly, I mean, 100% retention. You guys obviously are doing something right. How are you reaching them? What's your go-to-market been so far? How's that likely to change as well?
So far, it's been me reaching out to folks, going to conferences and tapping into the network. We just hired an SDR that has a lead list, and she's calling them. So that's helping me get more in front of more folks. I think for the next year or so, it will be B2B sales, like direct calls, because each contract is pretty large. It's fine. Eventually, though, we would like to create some referral program. But I think for now, because the contracts are large, I love talking to the customers and onboarding them myself. It's like there's 70K, 100K RPU, 200K if they have 20 properties.
And who are you speaking? Is it CFOs?
CFOs, yes, but it's mostly like the COO equivalent. They typically call them VP of operations of the management group. So those are third-party management groups. They take 3% of revenue from the owner to operate their property on their behalf. And typically they operate many. Like we are in the process of onboarding a group that has is managing 100 properties. And so those are the ones we sell into, the operators.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Omar, anything from you? All right. Nadine, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
And looking forward to following Lilo's growth.
Thank you.
All right. Fadi, I'm gonna bring
you.
Sorry,
I'm not sure if you mentioned, are you looking to raise anytime in the next year? What's happening?
We just closed our seed round. So right now we're building.
That's awesome.
But thank you. But I thought this is still a good opportunity to share about Lilo with the community.
Mabruk.
Thank you.
For sure. And your seed round gives you 1 week.
Depends on how much revenue and how much we spend, but should be around 2 years.
Okay, nice. Congrats. That's really awesome.
Thank you.
Mabruk.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nadine. All right, Fadi, I'll bring you up to talk a little bit about Supportful with us.
Thank you, Hani. Hello, everyone. I'm Fadi, the founder of Supportful. We're a software engineering staff augmentation company. So we mostly work with startups in the US most often. So we enable them to build their products from 0 to 1. We also help startups scale their teams as needed. And we also assist non-technical founders with our fractional CTO services. Cherry on top, we do this because we want to make an impact. So we want to reduce the brain drain in Lebanon, keep young, talented people in the country, and more importantly, keep them in their hometowns so they can contribute to the development of the economy in the community where they live. So I've been a long-time member of Viaka. I'm so happy of the evolution of the community and so happy to be at this event. Thank you, Hani and Dream.
Fadi, thank you so much. We really appreciate everything that you do as a really active member of our community. All right. Last up, Amir and Shawkat, you guys are gonna bring us home. I am gonna just pin your screens right now. You can feel free to start sharing whenever you're ready.
Okay, let me share. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. We're Papr, excited to walk you through what we have. So with Papr, we're building an AI native workspace with infinite long-term memory that deeply understands your company and organizes knowledge for you. We are 3 founders. I'm Shawkat, founder and CEO. Amir is my brother, and Ron is a really good friend. We've been working together on side projects since 2007. This is a picture of us in Seattle, but we're based in the Bay Area right now. Amir is a former product leader, at Amazon, Shopify, was a former CPO at a unicorn ad tech startup. And then Ronnie is chief architect at Intel. And then Ronnie has actually 25 patents in machine learning. So he's the tech expert in the team. So today, information is abundant yet elusive, making it really hard to find the right context and use it properly. Actually, here's a shocking stat. 80% of knowledge workers lose 2.5 hours daily searching for information scattered across all of these tools. That's around 1.6 trillion in annual productivity loss globally. This impacts stress, impacts performance, wastes time. And I've witnessed this problem firsthand when I was leading product at Apple, at Microsoft, and at Meta. Our teams were drowning in information that was spread on all of these tools. And then I also have ADHD, and with someone that has ADHD, actually keeping track of important details and bringing context and trying to find things has always been a struggle. Actually, ADHD impacts your working set memory. Think of that being like a scratch pad, like a notepad, like in your brain, that you put few bullets that helps you complete a task. And for people who have ADHD, it's actually harder to go and try to find something and then put that in your brain scratch pad. So when ChatGPT launched, I was really excited about the vision and mission of AGI, and was really interested to see if this helps solve my problem. But it was when we tried using ChatGPT, it was like hiring a brilliant executive who forgets every conversation they've ever had. Even the most advanced AI, when you look at reasoning, couldn't really maintain context between interactions. And one of the things that we did is we tried to put company data and plug it into an LLM, and actually retrieval's pretty bad. 50% of the time, it retrieves the right information. So yeah, basically, it's a big problem still today. So that's why we built Papr. Papr is an AI workspace that remembers your context and organizes knowledge for you, so that you don't have to. Amir, did you want to? I'm going to bring Amir to walk through the rest of the slides, and then Amir will go through a demo as well.
Cool, thank you, Shawkat. So Papr gives you a second brain with true infinite memory. So when we went full-time in May, we spent the last year building our indexing and retrieval model to really enable users to index a ton of data and then answer questions, organize their knowledge, and help them visualize all of this knowledge. And if you flip to the next slide, we've been using Stanford's Stark benchmark to evaluate our model. So Stark's benchmark evaluates complex real-world queries versus a lot of the other benchmarks that just check if you can find the word in the middle of long text, called kind of the needle in the haystack. So we thought Stanford's benchmark really represents real-world queries. And earlier this month, we published our results, and are super excited to be ranked #1 right now on kind of Stark's benchmark, with 86% hit 5 accuracy. What this means is that we're able to retrieve the right answer 86% of the time within the first 5 results. And the next best in class is 59%. The way we do this is we map relationships between all of these memories and ideas, kind of the same way that your brain maps different ideas and thoughts. And if you flip to the next slide, what this practically means is, here's just kind of an example. This is me searching Slack as well as Paper on the left for a bug that we had a few months back that we had. Again, I was trying to figure out how to resolve it. And Paper searched Slack better than Slack searches Slack. And this is kind of one of the examples here, but I'm going to walk you through a demo because Paper is more than just a memory and retrieval API. We've built an AI workspace that finally remembers everything you've shared across Slack, documents, as well as meetings and context. So let's see if this is going to work. We still haven't launched, so this is buggy. We're going to launch next week. But right now it's free to try and use just on our site. We haven't really announced it. You can go to Papr.AI and check it out, help us break it so we can kind of improve the bugs for next week's launch. Anyways, this is Paper here. And you'll notice first thing is we don't lead with a chat bot. We lead with this page experience. So in this case, I'm coming into Paper and I'm able to add, upload PDFs, documents, YouTube videos, or add some of my pages that I already have on Paper that we've been using. I already added a bunch of videos. We've been chatting with customers as we've built Paper. We chatted with 133 users to just get feedback about what we're building. And we have a lot of these conversations recorded and so on. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit generate. And I can pick one of these templates, or can I choose other templates or create my own template? And I'm going to choose this problem statement brief. One of kind of the set of users that we're targeting are growing companies that are kind of fast growing, and they have a lot of data. They've started hiring a lot of employees, and they're starting and have an issue just keeping up with everything and organizing their knowledge. And one of the users that we've tested with has a ton of customer interviews, and they're trying to understand how these customer interviews panned out and what problems customers are having. So they can come, kind of upload all of the stuff to Paper, and then use this template or create their own template. And then what we do is we go through and we look at all of this data as well as any other memories that the user has, and we generate kind of this robust document. And just like any other AI tool, when you generate content, you kind of need to iterate on it. The nice thing with Paper is because it has all of this context, it's able to give you a much better first version. You still need to kind of go through, and obviously here you have kind of a full editor where you can go type, edit, and so on. So what it did here is it kind of talked a bit about the problem, about the solution we have, and what we've been building in Paper. One of the things that it mentioned is the start benchmark here, and I'm able to go and say, I want to improve my writing. It's able to improve it, and the cool thing, you actually get a track changes experience. What AI is changing specifically. You can see that, accept and reject it. But then you can do more. I can go through, and this is when I can bring up chat. And I can say something like this, which is, what's the latest on publishing this Paper memory report? I want to see if we've published kind of this report over here. And it's going to look through, I have all of my Slack connected. So it's going to look through my memories, and it's going to look for anything related to the start benchmark and get a sense if we've published this report or not. It's going to take a second to do this searching. Let me have this example here just to keep going. So I just did this before. It searched my memories here, and it basically came and told me that, let's see, so it gave me a quick summary, and it says, this is already published. It picked up that this is the Hugging Face leaderboard where we're published, where you can kind of see us first. This is actually my memory here from Slack. So if I click on it as well, I'm able to go to Slack and see the actual message. And then obviously you can do other things. So here, like, great, what's the next benchmark we should submit to? And then it looked at a few things that we've talked about as a team. No Lima is another one. And then some from the web as well. It's able to go through and do that. Also able to do other cool stuff, like I can take, Isra is one of the users we've chatted with. I can take this and also say something like, show me the quote and video that is Israel. So I can do something like this. And then it goes through, searches the videos, and comes back and actually shows me the video of Isra chatting about it. I think we have a bug, but a demo without bugs, isn't a demo. So yeah, this is kind of what we have right now. And like I said, we're launching next week, but we have been in kind of like a closed alpha period and testing with a bunch of users. And the users we've been testing with, like I said, they're kind of up and growing companies. One of them is actually a YouTuber podcaster with 400 plus videos, and he wants to create marketing content from these videos. So Papr can help him kind of analyze, understand these videos, and then you can pick a topic like email deliverability, and then put together blog posts, social posts, and so on Papr. We have a few researchers as well, and in addition to the web app, we have a plugin, ChatGPT, and we've used that as our growth driver. It's growing 90% month over month, and it's kind of like a bottoms-up way to test our experience. We're still pretty early, excited about the launch next week. And Abed, I know the team here mentioned a few companies to kind of help with retrieval. We're going to be releasing the Papr memory API as well. So I'd love for you to test it out.
Thank you guys so much. Investors, feel free to start. I'll bring you up.
Now, I would have a few questions, and I might be a potential customer. I will tell you more later. First, what I would like to understand is the following. When you showed the benchmarks, are you better because you're able to handle a larger context better, or are you better because you are retrieving more relevant stuff? So the snippets that the LLM is using to answer is simply shorter and more to the point.
Yeah, Amir, do you want to take this, or Ronnie can take this? Ronnie, do you want to take this?
Right. So I think we're better in various ways. Where one is like how you retrieve the relevant information in a semi-structured knowledge base, and how you connect the dots and the relationship between multiple sources, and how you embed them for faster retrieval.
The big thing, Omar, is all of the models are really based on predicting the next best keywords. The way we're doing it is we combine the best of vector embeddings as well as graphs and have the concept of relationships. So we're not predicting the next best word. We're predicting based on the relationships, what's the next kind of best topic to come and use. And that's what makes it special.
Is that somehow similar to the idea of large concept models that Meta released a paper on, or is it something else?
It's different. Those are still based on kind of text-based. Yeah.
Okay.
And those are the
you're
like
referring to the
50%.
long context LLM. That's a bit different, where you're training with the longer token, and then there have been some studies showing some drawbacks of this approach of forgetting or missing some of the information in the middle when you start increasing these type of tokens. So our approach is different and more like improving on the RAG techniques.
I see. And if I'm one of your customers, would they be comparing you to Glean, or who would be the competitor I would compare you to?
Yeah, you'd compare us to Glean. Yeah, that's a good example. The main difference, I'd say, is Glean's leans heavily towards a chatbot experience, and we're trying to lean more heavily towards like a visual experience. Here you saw a page that's just like a text page, but we're building a pretty kind of richer experience, so it feels more like a web page. And then it's live as well. So you can do something like, I've connected all my customer conversations, and they can just come to Papr and see the latest. It just updates itself, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So we can sign up on Papr.AI and play around with it?
Yeah. Go play around with it, break it. It's buggy. Next week it'll be better.
That's cool. And are you guys raising?
We're just starting to kick off our raise. We're raising a pre-seed 1.5 million.
Cool.
Quick question from my end, and guys, tell me about the users or the design partners or like who's been using it in the closed alpha. Is there a specific use case that you've been seeing more than like that over others? I mean, the YouTube one seems interesting, which is very different to your Slack questioning. Where do you see this? Like, if this is going to be like product-led growth, do you find one use case that's going to be like the start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Amir. Yeah, go ahead.
We're like, honestly, we're figuring it out. Right now, the users that we've been getting are ones that are like pinging us. They're mostly in two buckets. They're either ones that want to kind of market or ones that are researching and want a really good solution to go and research. So those are kind of the two sets of users. One of the challenges is this is a horizontal product. So we are like honing in and going deeper on a couple of verticals to go deeper kind of on their workflows and understand it. So that's what we're trying to do. We have a product and marketing leader from Amplitude as one of the design partners as an example, and they're coming in and they're looking at it to, like write internal documentation, the product briefs, think through marketing messaging and so on. And they have a bunch of things that are connected. But yeah, we're figuring that piece out.
Yeah,
I was just gonna add one more thing. On product-led growth, we did launch like a GPT on ChatGPT, and that's driving a lot of growth because you're able to add infinite memory with ChatGPT. And we're noticing a lot of users that are coming to our site organically come from the pain point of, hey, I have a lot of videos or a lot of like PDFs or documents, and I just cannot use any of these tools effectively. So that's like the core like pain or the problem, Jad. But one of the other design partners that we've also been working closely with is Prismatic. They're a platform company. They sell APIs that connect you with tools. And they're really, their customer success team is really interested in this because they have conversations with their customers in Slack. And everything's documented there. Their customers might ask questions or there's like action items that needs follow up. So what they'd love to do, plus they record everything on Zoom, on Gong, like all of their customer discussions are recorded. So what they'd love to do is to just build with one click a 360 view of the customer. So that an account manager or a customer success person can come in and quickly see the latest conversations, actions. So that's one of the use cases that they're really interested in, and we're working closely with them as well.
Makes sense.
We talked about this, but just for the benefit of everyone, how are you addressing privacy and security concerns?
Yeah, that's a great question, Reem. Let me quickly cover that, and then Amir or Rani, feel free to add in. So privacy and security is top of mind for us. Obviously, any of the models we built, we don't train on customer data. Obviously, the key value is giving enterprises the ability to leverage their data and use it with AI. But yeah, one of the key things that we do, because we're building a RAG experience, we basically don't we make sure that there's like controls. So for example, if you're having a one-on-one discussion with Slack, only the two people in that direct message will have access to that conversation within Papr if you have Papr connected to Slack. So you maintain any of the controls of the connectors or the apps that you integrate with. Plus, when we're doing a search, we do a search on the company data, and then we retrieve context. But that context that we retrieve it when we pass it to the LLM that we're using, you can use Claude, Gemini, or ChatGPT. None of them use that data to train with it because we have that flag where they cannot use that data to train with it. Plus, the LLM like forgets any of the conversations. Like every time you start a new chat with like a ChatGPT, it doesn't have that context unless we pass it for it to answer. So privacy security is really important. Everything that we have is encrypted basically at rest and in transit as well. And then Amir, feel free to add anything if...
Hi, hey, I have a quick technical question, if you don't mind. How many topics can you accommodate at once?
Yeah, Nadia, when you say topics, can you maybe elaborate a little bit more on the question?
Well, Amir was explaining that, the context is in standard LLMs that we use is not always recognized, and Papr is doing that. So context, if you will, right? But I think of them as topics and how to triangulate toward them.
Yeah, one of the unique things that we've done is we've built this in a way that the graph that we're building, the knowledge graph, is dynamic. And it's dynamic. It depends on what the user is trying to do. So we can accommodate any use case that the user is really like trying to do and capture or extract topics for each of these use cases. This is a little bit unique, something unique that we've done. And I don't know, Ronnie, if you want to, if there's anything else you want to add, feel free to jump in.
Is it like analogous? Is it analogous, Ronnie, to like an ML, a dynamic ML classifier, or not? Because you trained that one.
No, so we are like, think about it like from a brain perspective, right? You have the short-term memory and long-term memory, and like okay, on the topics of short interest, we use like some or small LLM models to help out build these relationships faster and traverse these in a more efficient way. For the longer term memory type of things, for example, yes, you might enhance and maybe take more time to retrieve those as the more and more topics are being added. So think about it like in that perspective.
I see. So you have a hybrid approach. Okay, no, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Any more questions?
Cool. Thank you, everyone. Try it out, break it. Don't be discouraged by the bugs. In a week or two, it'll be better. Try again.
So is it available for us to use the beta, or is it still?
Yeah, you can just go sign up and
go to Papr.AI.
You have 7 days free trial, so you can play around with it for 7 days.
And then how much do you charge?
Yeah, go ahead, Amir.
Yeah, it's 40 per month in the pro version, and then 100 for a team.
Okay, thank you.
Amir, Shawkat, thank you so much. Oh yeah,
I had a question. I had a question in the chat. I'm in the library, so I can't read it aloud.
Let's see. How does Papr address the expensive processing demands while maintaining retrieval effectiveness?
Right.
Yeah, that's a good question. So one of the hard things to do when you're like trying to use graphs, and a lot of the graph-based solutions, is as the data increases, it's costly to add, but also to retrieve, you have to traverse the entire graph. And the bigger your graph, the longer it will take to traverse, and it becomes buggy and kind of impossible to do. What we do is we combine graphs, but in embeddings as well. So our retrieval, like in 5 seconds, we're able to retrieve the thing you need. So we're able to do it quickly because of that method and that value. Then in terms of cost to index, it is costly, but as the models kind of grow, we're also building our own models, and just ends up being compute cost. Yeah, but that's why like right now.
Yeah, and just to add to what Amir said, like in the future, like a lot of the models will be run on device. And so basically, at least the ones that we want to use, so that will bring cost down significantly to both the index, and then your data will be in the cloud, but the model, the intelligence will be on device.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much, and thank you everyone who pitched. Thank you investors for giving your feedback, and thank you everyone who tuned in. Only last thing really to share is to reach out to Reem, myself, our teammates Lace and Malak as well.